So a publication of the Institute for Creation Research titled Back to Genesis featured an interview of a molecular biologist that was conducted by George Kaler of the Lynchburg Leader. This molecular biologist is involved in identifying genetic controls for diseases. The biologist spoke anonymously. George asks, "Do you believe that the information evolved?" The biologist answered, "George, nobody in my profession believes that it evolved. It was engineered by genius beyond genius, and such information could not have been written any other way. The paper and ink did not write the book. Knowing what we know, it is ridiculous to think otherwise," end quote. George says, "Have you ever stated that in a public lecture or any public writings?" Biologist says, "No, I just say it evolved. To be a molecular biologist requires to hold on to two insanities at all times. One, it would be insane to believe in evolution when you can see the truth for yourself. Two, it would be insane to say you don't believe in evolution. See, all government work, research grants, papers, big college lectures, everything would stop. He says, I'd be out of a job, or at least relegated to the outer fringes where I couldn't even earn a decent living." George says, "I hate to say it, but that sounds intellectually dishonest." The biologist says, "The work I do in genetic research is honorable. We find the cures to many of mankind's worst diseases, but in the meantime, we have to live with the elephant in the living room." George says, "What elephant?" The biologist says, "Creation design. It's like an elephant in the living room. It moves around, takes up an enormous amount of space, loudly trumpets, bumps into us, knocks things over, eats a ton of hay, and smells like an elephant. And yet we have to swear it isn't there." So I'm going to approach the rest of this episode from the belief that we didn't evolve, but rather that we were made by the God that designed, knit, and formed, and fashioned you for a specific purpose. Do you believe that? See, a study was conducted using the top 50 universities in the United States and shows that 64% of professors describe themselves as either atheistic or agnostic. No wonder atheism has doubled in the last 25 years among 19 to 25-year-olds. Atheists might say they don't believe in God, or they say there is no God. I usually say to them that no one on the planet possesses 10% of all of the knowledge in the universe. So out of the 90% of the knowledge that we definitely lack, would you agree that there maybe could be a God? You see, most people don't want to believe in God because something bad has happened. Maybe they're mad at him or have even grown to hate him. Maybe it's because of an unanswered prayer, or maybe it's because we want to do whatever we want to do and we don't want to be held accountable for our free will choices. So now that we've kind of established that there could maybe be a God, everyone can at least listen to the rest of the episode. So about 85% of millennials believe truth is relative. Over 65%, they say there's no way to tell which religion is true. Listen to this. Psalm 139 says, "I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made." So in the beginning of you, one cell from your mom and one cell from your dad, 23 chromosomes each, half DNA from each, formed one cell and started to form a new DNA code. Using 4 nucleotides, started writing a 3 billion character description of you written in the language of God, written out on your human genome. One DNA cell can be stretched out 6 feet long. If you read 1 character per second, day and night, it would take 96 years to read this. All about you, never written before in human history because it's unique to you. See, this is a picture of you, 16 cells of you on day 3 on the head of a safety pin, unbelievably magnified. It's on its way to 75 trillion DNA cells. There's so much DNA in your body that if you stretched it all out end to end, 6 feet per strand, it could go to the moon and back 178,000 times. See, 1 gram of DNA molecules can hold as much information as can be contained by 700 billion gigabytes. Scientists state that if the code in your DNA were converted to paper, that it would take 500,000 tightly typed pages to contain its instructions. That's like 900 Bibles written all about you. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. 50,000 cells in your body are replaced every 3 seconds. No wonder we're tired all the time. DNA is the exact blueprint of the human body. It's the building instructions, the plan of development. Thousands of years before science began to discover the secrets of DNA, God defines it perfectly in Psalms chapter 139 that says this: "My substance was not hid from you when I was made in secret and curiously shapen in the lowest parts of the earth. Your eyes did see my substance, yet being unperfect, and in thy book all my members were written, which in continuance were fashioned, when as yet there was none of them." See, here's another marvel to consider: that DNA necessary to code all the humans on this earth might fit into a space no larger than an aspirin tablet. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. The marvels of the human body continually reveal the hand of God. The body has 11 organ systems, 4 basic body tissues, and dozens of different specialized cells. The human body has an estimated 75 trillion cells. There are nearly 700 muscles, 206 bones make up the skeleton, with over half of them in the hands and the feet. Each human body is programmed for 2 sets of teeth, and there's a 60,000-mile network of vessels making up the circulatory system. That's 2.5 times around the earth. In a human lifetime, the heart pumps 50,320,000 gallons of blood through the circulatory system. The renowned scientist Sir Isaac Newton even says, quote, "In the absence of any other proof, the thumb alone would convince me of God's existence," end quote. Sanford Frumker says, quote, "Modern research with tagged elements of the human body that has shown 98% of the atoms in your body are replaced by the body in less than a year." Like the universe, our bodies aren't static in nature, they're constantly changing. The protein in your body is turned over every 6 months. See, you make an entirely new covering of skin every 5 weeks. You produce a new stomach lining every 5 days. Most of the functioning parts of your liver are replaced every 6 months. Your skeleton every 3 months. The hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen of your brain cells are replaced every year. The raw material of your DNA every 6 weeks. Every 7 years, every cell of every part of your body dies and is replaced. Think of this. So over every 7-year period, your physical body completely dies, yet you live on. Every 7 years, you receive a completely new, but slightly older physical body. Psalms 103 says, "Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me, bless his holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits, who forgives all my sin, who heals all my diseases, who redeems my life from destruction, who crowns with loving kindness and tender mercies, who satisfies my mouth with good things, so that my youth is renewed like the eagles." Augustine says that we talk about how we travel the world to find complexities and beauty and wonder, yet we pass by ourselves. Here's a picture of us 5 months in the womb. Jeremiah 1:5 says, "Before I formed you in the belly, I knew you. And before you came out of the womb, I set you apart and ordained you a prophet to the nations." See, all kinds of miracles are happening in the womb. The eye, for one. Here's a picture of a magnified eye. To this moment, nothing is more complex and technologically advanced than the eye. A cutting device perfectly shows up around 6 months and creates eyelids. Listen, the God of the heavens formed, fashioned, and knit you together. He knows your name. He knows everything there is to know about you. He's made a promise to those who put their trust in him that he will hold you in the palm of his hand and carry you through all the days of your life. Psalm 33 says this, "For he spoke and it came to be. He commanded and it stood firm. From his dwelling place he watches all who live on the earth, and all who forms the hearts of all, who considers everything they do. But the eyes of the Lord are on those who fear him, on those whose hope is in his unfailing love, to deliver them from death and to keep them alive in famine." Check this out. This is a scientific diagram of laminin, a fibrous protein in the body that acts as the rebar or reinforcement of the human body, and it's in the shape of a cross. Here's another actual picture of laminin using an electron microscope. Listen to this. Colossians 1 says, quote, "The Son is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn over all creation. For in him all things were created, things in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or powers or rulers or authorities, all things have been created through him and for him. He is before all things, and in him," listen to this, "all things hold together." Isaiah 40 says, "Have you not known? Have you not heard? The everlasting God, the Lord, the creator of the ends of the earth, neither faints nor is weary." It says his understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the weak, and to those who have no might, he increases strength. Even the youth shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. You have millions of microscopic crosses holding you together, and the cross of Christ holding all who put their trust in him. See, he has a plan for you, a purpose for you. He knows the number of hairs on your head. He knows your name. He knows what he designed you for, who you're supposed to marry, where you're supposed to go to school, your job, your calling, house, car, kids. He's omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent. Call out to the one who made you. There is no one like him, and there is no one else like you. God bless you.